Next up on our list is Supreme. Supreme is probably the #1 fresh market black Muscadine grape being grown today. Has several good traits. One of the key traits of Supreme, and one reason it's well known, is it has very large size fruit. Here you can see the individual berries and the clusters. Nice black color to it. This is a 4-year-old Supreme vine. For a female plant, it's quite productive. You can see here probably even more berries in here than you'd really want to have. But it does not seem to have the trouble that some female cultivars have of having low production. If anything, Supreme is probably too productive, and in some years you can have so many berries on the plant that it reduces vine vigor and has trouble surviving the winter for that reason. And so you may want to come in on a few years, especially on young vines, and thin the crop load or space the spurs out a little bit wider so that you're not having so much crop load issues on Supreme. Good thing about Supreme is that it has a very firm fruit. If you bite it in half, you can see the flesh. Instead of having the real soft texture that a Muscadine normally has, this has a more plum-like firm fruit texture. It holds that firmness quite well in storage. That's another reason Supreme is so popular among commercial growers. You pick it, it's firm, and that firm, even if you store it a couple weeks in refrigeration, stays firm. And that keeps the grocers from discarding it because it's and rejecting loads because it's too soft. It is typical for Supreme to ripen unevenly, even within the same cluster. You can see a cluster here. You have one berry, uniformly dark, relatively soft, ready to pick. You have other berries that are just past horizon, very hard, nowhere near being harvested yet. For commercial growers, that's maybe a downside in that you have to come in and individually pick the berries and sort them out, and that can be tricky if you have real tight clusters. This is also typical of Supreme. Clusters very tight. The downside of that is when the growers go in to pick it, they pick and you have to grab the individual berry and kind of yank it out. That leads to this, which is known as stem split or stem tearing. You can get some leaking of fruit juice from that split. That can give you sticky clamshells and berries within the clamshell, and also gives a way for pathogens to enter in. And so that is one downside of Supreme, is that you do tend to discard more fruit because of that splitting. In terms of harvesting it, again, with having this uneven ripening, it is a downside, and you have to go over the plant several times to get the berries through the season. But if you're doing pick your own or home use, in some ways that can be an advantage because you'll have some berries ready early mid-season, which is what we're in now, and then you'll have other berries that'll be ready late season. And so if you're doing pick your own, this one variety will stagger out picking and give harvest throughout the season almost. Whereas other varieties which ripen uniformly, you may only get a week or two of harvest window for them. So overall, I would say Supreme is still quite good cultivar for us and should be the basis of many fresh fruit growers in terms of what they're growing. We're still looking for varieties to replace it, including Palk, and Palk has some advantages over Supreme, but I would not completely go to Palk over Supreme at this point in time.